What is the solution to America's problems? I am convinced it's not the conservative agenda, it's not the liberal agenda. Rather, the solution to America's problems is Jesus Christ. What does that mean? No politician, no legislative body can change your heart, can change your character. That takes God. That takes Christ. And one of the ways that Jesus wants to change America, change all societies, all cultures, is by building stronger families. A strong family is based on a marriage that's healthy and parenting that is good. A healthy marriage comes when both spouses are allowing God, allowing Christ to meet their deepest emotional, spiritual, and psychological needs. If you think that your spouse can meet your deepest needs, you're sadly mistaken. If I think that my spouse can meet my deepest emotional, spiritual, and psychological needs, I am sadly mistaken. It is not fair to depend upon one spouse to meet the deepest needs of your life. It ain't going to happen. Our spouses are tremendous gifts from God, but they're not God. And if they're placed in the number one spot in your life or in my life, that will lead to keen disappointment, frustration, and stress. An African proverb puts it well when it says, "When the elephants fight, the grass is crushed. When mom and dad fight, children are crushed, hurt deeply." That should cause us to pause before fighting and to figure out how we can bring about compromise, peace, how we can allow love to flow instead of animosity. What a challenge it is to build strong families, especially in light of the fact that opposites attract. I'll never forget coaching soccer for kindergartners. My son was on the team, and he was one of the aggressive children who ran after the ball, tried as hard as he could to kick it into the goal. He was joined by many young ladies, girls, and young men, boys, in that endeavor. But my defense had a problem. The boys and girls on defense liked to sit down on the lawn, on the grass, and find four-leaf clovers. It almost made me pull my hair out, as the offense of the other team would come breathing down on them, and they'd be sitting there looking for four-leaf clovers. Many of us are very spontaneous, very laid back, very chill. Others of us are aggressive, hard-driving, type A personalities. When you put those two together, wow, that can lead to some real misunderstanding and stress and pressure and disagreement. So a good marriage is comprised of two people who are willing to accept each other the way we are. We're willing to bear with each other, which means to give the other person space to be different and unique. We're to be patient with each other and to cut each other slack, and we are to forgive each other, which means to absorb the pain and not lash back in revenge. Yes, that is the quality of love. A love that accepts, a love that bears, a love that's patient, a love that forgives. That's the quality of love that Christ wants to use to glue our marriages solidly together. Recently, my oldest son asked me, "Dad, what was the most important lesson that Grandpa and Grandma taught you?" I thought a moment and responded rather quickly. Dad had a passionate love for Christ. Dad understood that God loved him more than anybody else in the whole universe loved him. And because of that, Dad responded to God's love. Grandpa responded to God's love with a passionate love. And he modeled that for his 6 children, and he taught us to love Jesus more than anyone. And that's exactly what Jesus said is the purpose of life. To love God with your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself. And Mom, your grandma, Robert, well, she taught us an accurate definition of success. She played 5 sports in college. She was quite the athlete. She served as a nurse at Columbia Presbyterian Hospital in New York City. She had an amazing intellect an incredibly athletic body. But she was wise enough and committed enough to Christ to understand the true definition of success, which is not to be number one athletically, and it's not to have the highest GPA in school. Instead, success is faithfulness. Faithfulness is taking all that God has given you and using it to serve God by serving others. Faithfulness is the peace that comes from knowing you did the best you could in that situation. Success is not measured by where you stand in the pecking order. Success is not measured by, do you have the corner office with the best view? Success is measured not by the size of your house or the cost of your car. Instead, success is living to glorify God in everything, living to serve people to the best of your ability, understanding that the real purpose of life is to love God and to love others, to move out of self-absorption into giving your life away in serving others. And that is exactly what Jesus Christ did. He gave his life away in serving others, and ultimately he sacrificed his life for you and for me as he bled and died on a cross to forgive us for our wrongdoing, to forgive us for our sin, to reconcile us to God and to give us life eternal. Have you accepted that gift? Have you asked Christ to forgive you? Have you put your faith and trust in him and received the gift of eternal life that Jesus promises to all who trust in him? Have you committed your life to living for him? And when it comes to family, to building a strong family by his grace. God bless you as you make that most important decision to trust in Jesus Christ.